Hello everyone! Today I have a 5-0 run to show you with a very spicy team which consists of Alomomola, Hitmontop and Cradily. And this is a fairly standard to play team where all 3 Pokémon have great bulk, and here Cradily can be utilized as a safe switch. The Stardust cost for making this team is slightly below average, since all of them are below level 30, but if you want to make a Hitmontop, remember to unlock the second charge move before evolving your Tyrogue to save a ton of Stardust. And I had played Hitmontop and Cradily in the back earlier and I liked it, but the lead using Shadow Sharpedo or Shadow Dragonite didn't really work out for me, so here you see me searching for something that decently checks stuff like Azumarill, Galarian Stunfisk, Alolan Marowak, Bastiodon and Skarmory, and then suddenly Alomomola comes to mind. So let's start the set. My first opponent in this run is Station Rider and he leads with Azumarill. So this is a very boring but still kind of interesting matchup, since if the Azumarill does not have Play Rough, Alomomola wins. But this Azumarill does have Play Rough, so this is an equal matchup. And these are basically the 2 tankiest water types in the entire Great League, and they have the same stat product basically. But I would argue that Alomomola has the better stat line, since it has a high percentage of HP compared to defense. So anyways, I'm not going to shield anything, since Cradily will easily be able to handle the Azumarill, and the Azumarill shielded once. So now I have a shield advantage, and I will be able to farm down all the way using only bullet seeds and come out with 100 energy. And right here, I wait for the top right typing to be shown before I throw a charge move, so that I don't waste it. And my opponent is very likely to get a fast move through anyways. And then both of us make a blind swap. And Alolan Marowak is a kind of good counter to most fighters. But since Hitmontop has the Stone Edge that is able to basically one-shot it, it's not that good of a counter anymore, and my opponent tried to call the bait, but I'm not going to bait with the move that debuffs me. So the Alolan Marowak is one-shot, and then I have a charge move in the back on Cradily. And usually Cradily beats Galarian Stunfisk in CMP, unless it's a high attack Galarian Stunfisk, and some people do run high attack on their Galarian Stunfisk, since it has a breakpoint against Registeel, but not this one, and I win. My next opponent is Client L, and he leads with Galvantula, which is obviously very bad for me. So I say switch into Cradily, and my opponent counter switches into Galarian Stunfisk, and this is a good move, because then his Galarian Stunfisk doesn't have to face the Alomomola. But this matchup is very neutral, since they are equally tanky and all of the moves are neutral. So my plan here is to not shield anything and then farm down with either one of my Pokemon to have a both shield and energy advantage against his Galvantula, because the Galvantula is fairly good against both of my remaining Pokemon. So here I will be able to farm down all the way with only waterfalls and take 1 Rock Slide, which is not doing that much damage. And then I expect the Galvantula to come in immediately, but my opponent sends in an Azumarill to absorb this Psychic. But this is possibly even better for me, because now Alomomola is going to be able to chip down on this Azumarill, so that Hitmontop doesn't have to face it at full health. And then my opponent even shields the Stone Edge. So now I'm suddenly in a very good spot, because a unshielded Galvantula is a dead Galvantula, and my opponent tries to do some switching shenanigans, but as soon as I see the Galvantula, I throw my Stone Edge to one-hit KO it, and then Hitmontop is able to finish the game. My next opponent in game number 3 of the set is Lushita, and he leads with Skarmory. And the thing in this matchup is that I need 10 waterfalls to reach a Blizzard, and he needs 10 air slashes to reach 2 sky attacks. But since I got the piggyback right there and 1 fast move earlier to the Blizzard than for his next sky attack, so then since it didn't shield, the Alomomola could basically one-shot the rest of the Skarmory. And then my opponent switches in the Azumarill, and I'm going to stay in here, because if I switch into Cradily, then Hitmontop will have to face the Azumarill at some point. But here I'm even able to reach 1 more Psychic, and here you can see just how strong Alomomola can be as a lead when it works out. Because even though this Azumarill has 100 energy now, I took 1 shield and basically 1.5 Pokemon from my opponent. So now my opponent uses all of his energy and he's down to 0 after 2 Ice Beams. So I count to 5 Bullet Seeds before using my charge move, because Cradily also win the CMP against Azumarill every time. And my opponent has a Shadow Machamp in the back. So this is amazing for me, because an unshielded Shadow Machamp is a dead Machamp. So I will go straight for the charge move and it's gone. So remember when you run Shadow Machamp that you basically at any cost want to have 2 shields for it in the end. Next up, in game number 4, is a game against Swiwacha, and he leads with Skarmory once again. And this time I'm not able to get the piggyback through, and if someone knows how to get the piggyback through, please tell me, because I have no idea and it feels very inconsistent for me. So anyways, because of that, he's faster to the sky attack, and I will not shield it and go for the Blizzard to at least force a shield advantage, and then I will switch into Cradily. And I do this because I want to save Alomomola for the end, where I am very likely going to have to depend on Hitmontop. And since Hitmontop debuffs itself, I'm going to use the Alomomola to reset the debuffs. So I'm not going to shield anything, and I will have a basically triple shielded Hitmontop here, or double shielded and 1 sack swap that can reset the debuffs. So I'm going to farm down all the way, and his Skarmory is fairly low, but he's got a Ludicolo in the back, which is very nice to see. I love Ludicolo. So after 1 close combat, I switch into Alomomola to reset the debuffs and then farm down, which I would not have been able to if I didn't have my Alomomola. And then the last close combat is able to finish the game. Next up, in the last game of the set, I go up against Azumarill, and here I am very nervous because I really want to win the 5-0 with this kind of weird spicy team. And my opponent leads with Swampert, so this is great for me because all of the moves are neutral, but Alomomola will be able to overpower the Swampert in just pure total damage output. So my opponent went for an Earthquake and I go for the Psychic, and my opponent is not at another Earthquake yet, so I will let this Hydro Cannon go through. And then I will do the same thing as in the last game, switch immediately to Cradily to save my Alomomola for a reset of the debuffs later in the game. And then my opponent switched out the Sunny Sheriff and banked a ton of energy on it. So now I'm kind of in a bad spot since a Solar Beam will one-shot the Hitmontop. So I need to save my shields for the Hitmontop and somehow defeat the Sunny Sheriff with a 2-shielded Hitmontop. So what I do here against the Umbreon is I always overcharge slightly, so that there is a higher chance of him losing count of the fast moves. And I even got 1 shield from the Umbreon. And here it's amazing that my opponent uses one of his charge moves, because then at least the Sunny Sheriff is not at 100 energy when I send in my Hitmontop. So here I shield both times, but it's a bait both of the times. So here I make 4 counters, since it takes 4.5 seconds for the next Weather Ball to come in before doing a absolutely crucial safe swap. And then I go for back-to-back close combats, but Sunny Sharon wins the CMP, but even though I am debuffed, the Weather Ball is not enough to KO me, and I'm just able to win with a sliver of health left. So that's it for this run with a kind of weird and spicy team for Go Battle League. And I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.